And I'm going to say, here's what's on tap. I'm going to start out with kind of an assessment. I'm going to do the Walter Jankowski's 8 things that if you want to be a consultant, here's the 8 things that I have seen has been successful in my career. Then I'm going to give some tips and tips for discussion. And as I said, I'll stop in here and have facilitated discussions. I'll have you use the chat, etc. But also know that I'm going to be asking your advice and tips or questions. All right. So here is at the end of this. At the end of this section, I'm going to ask, what advice would you give, and or what's one tip that made an impact today, or that you need to apply? Or if you throughout this you think, how do I, or what's the best way to blank? This is as I said, it's an open forum. Most likely, if you were in consulting, nobody knows the tax code better than most likely you the people in this room know how to answer the question. All right, so I'm going to ask this after I go through my section. All right, here we go. So John did a great job introducing Walter Jankowski, Reinvention Consultant with Better Dash Faster, and I help organizations do things better and faster. So normally I'm brought in when there's a large technology project, like I'm doing a lot of MS365 conversions and implementing Teams and SharePoint, or a new ERP system or a new claim system. I'm the people process lead. So instead of paving the cow path, I help organizations figure out how work should go through the organization. And then I also do the people side of it. So I do a lot of process improvement and metrics, but then I'll help with the training and organizational development and making sure that whatever is implemented sticks in organizations. I do a lot of strategic planning and performance excellence coaching with the Baldrige criteria. And you can see some of my clients. Most of my clients are within 15 minutes of my Madison home here. And as John said, it's all different industries. Finance and finance, insurance, government. I'm doing a lot of local, county and state government work, and it's all different types of projects. So let me just give a little where I'm at right now. So I have been consulting for 25 years in various, I started out at Blackhawk Technical College as a consultant trainer for business and industry, and I went out every day for 8 years. I went out and every day was something different, but then worked for CUNA Mutual and was an internal consultant there. And then my position was eliminated and I was hired back as a consultant, which is the best of both worlds because I tripled my salary and didn't have to go to the company meeting, so to speak. But I've owned my own business for the last 14 years. And right now I have, I started a program. I don't know if any of you are familiar. I heard, well, I can't remember her name, but you have an intern. You were looking for interns. I'm on the board of a student-run organization, the largest student organization in the world, called ISIC. And what they do is they take US students and place them internationally abroad, and then they take international students and bring them to the United States for internships. And last year with COVID, they basically had all of their interns were canceled because people weren't traveling. So they had about 1,000 students across the nation, and I was on the board, in the national board, and they said, hey, would anybody like to pick up some interns? And I said, I normally have 2 or 3 working for me at any given time. I use that opportunity to put that out to my clients and said, hey, you all have intern projects and you all have stuff you want to do. I'll tell you what, you just tell me what projects you want to work on, and then I'll assign interns, and I created what is called, I'm calling the think tank team, and I have 10 interns working for me this summer, all over the nation, and they I put it out again, and I got 23 clients raising their hands, and I have 44 projects. So each, and the interns are all different skill sets. They're graphic designers, social media experts, communications, project managers, business analysts, statisticians, technologists, and they help with all of the projects that I have going on right now. And it's been a great experience. It's been great for my clients, and it's been great for me because I let the interns, each intern works on between 3 to 5 projects, and they get a plethora of skill sets. So if you want to talk offline about finding interns, I'll give you some tips on that. Okay, so here is, I am going to tell you that there is a lot of content, and this is mostly for awareness. I'm going to tell you it's going to be like drinking from a fire hose, okay? So I want you to think about these things, but I'm not going to go into depth. I'm going to show you examples of these, all right? So we're going to start with the Walter Jankowski, So You Want to Be a Consultant. These are the 8 things that I have identified that I've thought, boy, what are the main things that separate me and my consulting businesses from others, and or what does it take to be a consultant? And here's what I want each of you to do is I want you to either put it in the chat, you can do it electronically, or if you want to take a piece of paper on the side and score yourself. I want you to score how well you are doing in each of these categories. 0 is I'm terrible at this and I need to work on it, and 10 is I am an expert in this area and I could probably teach a class, okay? So the first one is, and score yourself here, leadership. You truly have a passion and mission and gift for the work in your business. You have personal leadership and motivation to work on your own. You're able to facilitate and take charge of meetings, conversations, and work teams, and you're able to build trust and credibility among your teams and clients. Where would people put themselves? I would venture this group, if you are a consultant, you're probably scoring pretty high in that. Okay. Next one, sell. You're able to sell your services and yourself. You're able to concisely describe and sell what you do and the value of your services, and you're willing to effectively network and meet people. And I know that John next month is going to be partnering up and doing a session on that. But to me, and what I've learned over the years is selling, if you can't sell, you better find a different way to get work in and fill your pipeline. And I'll talk a little bit about that. Next one is client focus, client or customer focus. You're able to identify lead our current clients that you have and target clients or potential customers. You're able to understand their needs and preferences, learn their business, and able to focus efforts to get and keep them. How well you doing there in client and customer focus? Okay, next one is deliverables. And you're able to produce high gain deliverables, whether it be job aids, procedures, tools, training, are in place to make sure that they stick after you leave. And you're able to see the bigger picture of root causes and other contributing issues. You develop and show how their business works, and you're not afraid to ask questions, tough questions. How well are you doing there? It's all about the deliverables. Okay, next one is Be the go-to. You're able to develop skills that allow you to differentiate yourself from your peers. People come to you for a specific expertise. How you doing there? Next one is you're able to leverage technology to your ability. You're able, if you have MS 365 or Microsoft Suite, you're able to effectively use Microsoft Suite of products or its equivalent, any G Suite or whatever. Calendars and other search and other key software solutions. You have appropriate technology channels to generate awareness, buzz, and sales. So you have LinkedIn and Instagram, and you're able to kind of keep up with the techno world. Nice. Next one, results. You're able to focus on results, measure, collect, graph, analyze, and use data and information for performance tracking and results, especially for your clients and overall in your business, how well you are doing and how well you're filling your pipeline, and et cetera. And then the last one is your business is actually set up. Your business infrastructure is set up. Legal entity, legal protections, trademarks, copyrights if you need them, insurance, banking accounts. You have an understanding of the costs of your work, value, and the going rate of, and then you are able to manage your cash flow, your time, your resources to produce revenue, profit, and pay your bills. All right, how'd everybody do? Now, what I want you to do is I want you to look at your lowest score category. I'll put this back up. I want you to think about that lowest score category and what's one or two activities that you are not doing or need improvement in this area. So just take a minute and do that. And in the meantime, I'll put a little music on.
Walter, it's so nice to see all of that in one slide.
Would you agree with him?
Oh, yeah. Fundamentals, man.
So here's what I'm going to do is I want to open this up and you know, just where are your low scores? And you know, before I go in, I'm going to show some best practices around each of these, but where would you say your low scores are and why? And then, you know, if you have a question around it, like how do I, or what's the best way to, and then you know, as I said, this is not going to be just me. This is your opportunity to ask professional consultants out there, well, how do you do this? And so anyone want to share? Anything you need to work on?
Yeah, I can share to get it started. I'm weak in deliverables. And my consulting has always been tactical, and I'll use the phrase conversational. I've never had a specific tool that I've been able to say, look, when you hire me, here's the tool that you get. You know, Mary Helen is helping me write a book. That'll be a deliverable that I'll be able to use. But I think about Heather and her ability to create a curriculum where you have an organized, logical process and flow that people buy into. It's like buying a course. Now, those are just two examples. That's an area where I need to improve.
Awesome. Who else? Anybody else? Yeah, Heather.
I mean, obviously technology. We met yesterday with the Microsoft Exploring Teams group, and Walter guided me through some very simple things that I had been ignoring. I just didn't care enough to invest the 6 minutes to make it happen. And I mean, literally the box kept coming up on my screen saying, you should do this, you should do this. And I was like, not right now. No, thank you. I'm busy creating. I don't want to deal with this.
I'm working on my deliverables.
Yeah, which is much higher for me, right? Like I'm not interested in it. So I don't want to spend the time doing it. But realizing if I spent the 6 minutes, it will pay off so farther down the road. So I need to learn that lesson. And then I found it real interesting in reading the paragraph underneath each one of these, where I was like, yes, yes, ooh, no, like on the third one or on the second one, so that I was doing maybe 3 out of the 4 that are underneath, but I didn't realize how much could be underneath the one category, right? So then there's area to improve in each one. So I don't
Anyone
know if that
else?
helps.
No, that's great. And actually, Heather, in our session yesterday, I put in this presentation around that category of here's some things that you should have in technology. You guys gave me that idea yesterday. So anyone else?
If I might share, this is Stuart.
Yeah.
As I was going through these, Walter, almost in every category, one way that I could improve is by partnering with others, which brings us back to MABC, but expands beyond that. We're not in this alone. We might think of ourselves as solo consultants or solopreneurs, but any way to expand in any of these categories would be partnering with somebody else and finding a team. And right now I'm creating a foundation for a mastermind program, and I'll be running that professionally. And I've been in masterminds and just connecting with others and the power that they bring and the individual skill sets. We don't possess all of these skills ourselves, but if you can connect with others, you can upgrade in all these categories. And the other observation was sell is probably my weakest. I think I put it out there as a 6. And that is just a matter of putting yourself out there, which is what I'm demonstrating now. You know, my very mentioning mastermind and targeting this group and the opportunity to bring together, and Mike smiling because that shows how I've partnered with someone inside of MABC to strengthen my marketing message. But all of these are part of reach out, connect with others, make it happen. We're not in this alone. We're all in this together.
Excellent. And I'll cover a couple of tips on that, and especially with COVID hitting, and I'll share a story around partnering. And anybody else? Okay, I'm going to go through the Walter Jankowski. You know, here's some best practices, and I want people to be able to add to this. So I'm going to take the first 2, which is the sales and marketing side of your business, and being able to sell and having the client focus. And the way I approach, or if I'm looking at sales, and as I said, next month John will cover this more in detail, but the one tip that I always give like new entrepreneurs is, for God's sakes, get your elevator speech down. You know, you've all met that person who's starting their business, and you just, hey, what do you do? And then they go on and on, and you're like, get it down to an elevator speech, and get it down so that you say it consistently every single time. I'll tell you, I was on a panel at the Wisconsin Technology Entrepreneurs Conference, and there were probably 300 people in the room, and they were asking each of us to start out with kind of your tips. And I said, for God's sakes, get your elevator pitch down. Here's what I want all of you to do right now. Everybody stand up, and I want you to pair off and go to somebody that you don't know and give your elevator pitch. Let them do it, and they did it. And I had 2 people come up to me afterwards and said, yeah, Walter, I know you I've done these activities with you before, but I'll tell you, this time I was here to get angel funding for my business. And I met an angel investor, and we talked and had a follow-up, and I got $500,000 in investing, just because he had his elevator speech and he was willing to stand up and and stick his neck out. And so get your elevator speech down. I also recommend have a pitch book. I have a set of slides of deliverables that I've had over the years, and my slide deck is probably 250 slides. And depending on the client that I'm working with or that I'm going to meet with, I pull out the slides and the deliverables that I think they're going to need. And I'll tell you, that has sold so many jobs for me because people are visual learners. And when they see, they don't know exactly what their problem is. In my business, it's some issue that they're trying to solve. They don't know exactly what it is, but then I'll show them, and I'll listen and I'll talk to them and get what their issues are. And then I'll say, do you mind if I share some advice? And then I show them, here's how I would approach this. And I would deliver this and deliver this. And what about this? If you can create visuals for what you are delivering, you increase your odds of closing the deal almost every single time. And I have it on my phone, I have it on my iPad, I have it on my computer, so I can do it at any time. Again, have your technology. I'm assuming if you are a consultant, you have a website, you have Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, some kind of presence. I don't put a ton of effort into those. However, that's the first thing that people will go and look up is my website. And, so having your website and having it clean and consistent message is kind of key. And then the last is what we were talking about before, is sell or partner. And I'll expand on that, is you can either think about, I'm selling my services, or you can partner with somebody who will sell your services. And, so I like selling, I love selling, but I don't like doing getting my foot in the door. So I have found strategic partners that work with C-level people that will get their foot in the door, and I'll close the deal. I'll come in and I'll close the deal, but I don't like that, going out and finding people, unless it's at a networking event, et cetera. So, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a bit. Okay. The next piece of client and customer focus is you've all heard of the term, soccer moms, right? Well, actually, the first thing I want you to think about is, so you can sell your services B2C, right? That's business to customer. And if you're in graphic design, you can go to an individual customer and you can, sell your services of, I'm gonna create a brochure, or like a one business to one business. But you could also then think about that higher level upselling is business to business. And what I mean by that is selling to people who are in your sphere that would sell your business. So the first thing I always do is I identify, in any situation, I identify who's the buyer here. Is it a project manager? Is it a CFO? Who's the decision maker? What are they gonna? Who's the decision maker for it? And then, do you want to sell to buyers or partner with somebody? Again, let me go to the next slide. I have lead customers. So in my business, I like to target mid to large organizations that are looking to streamline or become more efficient in some way, shape, or form, or they want strategic planning. So those are my lead customers. Those are my existing customers and my customer base that I go for. My target customers are obviously referrals from existing customers. Everybody loves those. They call you back and, hey, Wally, can you work on this? But then I've started looking at, okay, what are the complementary businesses that are out there that are in my target market? I want to talk to C-level people, to the mid and large companies. So I've partnered consultants that coach or mentor C-level people. I have two strategic partners that I have done that I have recently joined up with, and she brings me work. Matter of fact, about 3 clients a week. She's been giving, hey, can you come into this meeting? Can you help me with this one? They're having an issue with this. And it's been fantastic relationship. I have, because she wants to solve she's working on the personal end and helping to develop the coach and mentor the person, but then I'm working and helping with the organizational part of it. And man, I'll tell you, it has been, I don't have to do much selling anymore because she does it for me. The second one is in my business. I've been looking at technology companies, especially managed service providers or anybody who's doing MS365 implementations. I do a lot of the process work. And if you're going to move everything in your organization from G Suite or whatever to Microsoft, you might as well clean everything up and make it so that everybody can search and use all the tools. And so I've partnered up with about 3 different technology companies, and now they bring me work. I don't have to go out and sell any. Matter of fact, I've got almost too much work right now. And then I also look at consulting companies that subcontract out. So do you see the difference between a lead customer where I could just go and I get referrals and the like, but now I'm partnering strategically with people, and it's now a much narrower group of people that I'm trying to meet with and connect up with. So let me ask you this. Who are your lead customers and target customers? And actually, before I do that, let me just give you a little bit of background. I'm going to ask you that in just a bit, is who might you partner with that are like complementary to your services that would sell your services? So how this happened with me, I had very successful business, and then COVID hit. I'm sure it hit all of us. It was March, I had probably 10 projects going on. I was doing just fine, and all of a sudden I had 9 out of the 10 clients say, don't call me till July. I'm up to my eyeballs just trying to figure out how we're going to get through COVID. So I had a bunch of time on my hands, but I was working on the projects, getting all the deliverables. But then I realized I need to pivot because I do a lot of consulting and training, and most of my stuff was face-to-face and face-to-face dependent. And I realized remote is here to stay. And if I want to get into that market and be able to do what I'm continually doing, I need to be able to do it remotely. And so I got really good at all things remote, how to work all of the technologies, MS365, WebEx, Zoom, how to facilitate large group meetings, how to do, and I soaked up everything that I could in around remote, and I skilled up. I took a bunch of classes. I have a strategic partner that is a expert technology group, and I learned everything about MS365. And now I am, as I said, I have more work than I can do. So let me ask you, let's open it up. So we're all consultants. Who are your lead customers? Lead customers and or target customers, especially target, that you might be able to partner up with, and then they'll sell your services. They'll bring you in on this project. So let me just open it up. Anybody got one? Or you can put it in the chat.
So this is Stuart again.
Yeah.
What I've done, and where probably 95% of my business comes in, is by partnering with international consultancies that have a client base. And I'm looking at that now as my target customer. Because if I can sell myself to consultancy, and they do lead and client acquisition and create some of the foundational materials that I bring myself in, that I just do the fine tweaks. And that works ideal when they have work, right? With COVID hitting, one of my major companies that's based in Germany was going through a transition where all of the workshops were canceled, including those that I was scheduled for. And then they pivoted over to a virtual model, which is now bringing in a lot of work. Now, I could have done that on my own, but it's nice to have a team that's globally dispersed to be a member of. And I'm a go-to person now. I need to sell myself to the client to finally close the deal. But they present me in front of the client and they say, do you want this guy with these skills? And then I can shine, then I can sell. But to get to that stage, particularly when we're talking large organizations in a corporate world, there's a lot of pieces that are missing that I don't have as a solopreneur. So that's what I've been doing. Now, finding more of those stateside would be nice, particularly if they've got a global expanse, because that's where I shine.
Excellent. And I'll tell you, if you look at your existing or your clients or the consulting companies that are international, and all you need to do is meet 2 or 3 more companies like that are either stateside or international that are like that, and then they'll see your value and they'll bring you in just like you're doing with the other one. Yeah. Anybody else?
So Walter, it's Judy. I was in the same boat that you were in when the pandemic hit, with most of my clients being offline. My target market is small to medium-sized business owners, and then also nonprofits, nonprofit boards of directors. So I typically will serve CEOs, senior leadership teams, boards of directors. So when the pandemic hit, I had just wrapped up a big 2.5-year project and thought I was going to have a few weeks to just kind of catch my breath. Well, what it's done is I have been in this process of moving my business online, but the pandemic really accelerated that. So now where I'm at is, when you talk about looking for strategic partners, I've actually joined a mastermind that focuses strategically on strategic alliances. And my game plan moving forward is to build relationships with those people who already have big online lists, who can then market my 2 online courses to their followers. So I'm in the process right now of, we're moving forward in terms of developing some kind of a relationship with it's a marketing company who has their list. And they often are, when they're doing marketing and working with a client, they're talking their marketing strategy, but they can't talk it effectively because nobody's talked the big organizational strategy, which is where I would fit. So that's one that hopefully will come to fruition. But it's a different ball game online.
Yeah.
Than offline.
Yeah. It's a little bit more, you're probably finding it's a little more strategic. I like to think of it as, you're not doing shotgun selling anymore. You're doing rifle, and you're going out and looking for specific players on LinkedIn that do this particular thing. Hey, I see you do this. How would you like to meet up? Whatever. Excellent. And is it working for you so far, Judy?
Yeah, yes, because the thing I don't have or didn't have when I moved this online was I don't have that expansive list. Yes, I have followers, but I don't have a list of like 10,000 people, like the people who have been in online business for years. So that's who is now my target audience, is connecting with the people who have those large lists, who have the clientele base that fits with what I'm looking for.
Exactly. And this is for those that are working, like Judy, yourself. I found it very fruitful to connect up with the people that are in those C groups, Vistage and or are in that space, because you're meeting with the clients that are those that are on boards and then need your help.
Right.
Anyone else? Okay, so client and customer focus. Let's talk a little bit about deliverables and being the go-to. Deliverables. I work in a project world, and I long ago decided I want to work on projects, not in what I would call functional work, which would be, you know, being a director of some organization or whatever. But I've realized that there's kind of four things that has been the measure of success for successful projects. And I have developed deliverables around these four things. So the first thing, raise your hand if you want successful projects, or you're a consultant that, if you want successful projects, first thing is, I look at it as you have to have some kind of process, what I call process management or process improvement. And it's basically, that's a lot of what I do is I'm streamlining things, but eliminating waste, continuous improvement, any kind of change that you're implementing in a organization, whether it be a training program or whatever, it's going to boil down to step one, you do this, step two, you do this, step three, you do this. And so having some kind of process and process management is kind of key. And so I have a whole set of deliverables that are around, okay, you want to put this system into place. These are the things you have to do that. Second is project management, dates, dollars, and deliverables, and managing an overall project and making sure that you're meeting all of the dates, the dollars, and deliverables. And then the last is the change management piece. This is the people side of any kind of change that you have. And I subscribe to the ProSci model. There's lots of different change management models out there. But if you're going to make any change in an organization, as I said, if you're rolling out training, or you want to change how a board behaves, or whatever you're consulting on, you have to handle the people side of it. And so you have to walk people through awareness of the need for change, desire, and why they would want to change and what's in it for them. Give them the knowledge of how to change, and then the ability. That's the coaching and mentoring and having systems in place to make them able to change, and then the overall reinforcement. And I have a whole pile of deliverables around that. And then the last item for successful projects is, hang on a second, is project sponsor oversight. Every single project that I work on, I always have an executive sponsor, some kind of project sponsor, and they are what I would call AOL, Ass Online, that this project is going to be successful based on your ability to make sure that this happens. And so project sponsors, they provide a clear scope and expectations for the project. They say, well, what do you need? What do you need to be successful? And then, but they're also going to hold the team accountable for results. And I have a whole set of deliverables around those. So these four things, every single project I do, I have deliverables, and I have a list, and I have templates, and I take stuff from the last project that I have, and I just readjust it and reapply it for each project. And so I'm not going to hit you with the thousands of deliverables that I have, but they're basically around these four areas. Okay. Let me go to being the go-to for something. It obviously. Network, just like we are doing here, be active and engaged in that. But how many of you have speaking topics already set up that you should have at least 3 topics that you could speak anywhere from a half an hour to 90 minutes on anything you want? If you don't have If you don't have those topics, that's what makes me a go-to. How I do marketing for my company, I don't advertise, I don't do, all I do for marketing is I get in front of as many people as possible. So when when John asked me, hey, would you talk to our group? Yes. Hey, would you talk to this group over here? We want to do a webinar on X. Yes, 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 yes. I'll speak, but have your 3 topics and then go out and speak. And then you're going to be seen as the go-to. I can't tell you how many clients I have gotten because somebody called me up 3 years later and said, do you still do that thing? You talked to us about this, and do you still do that? Yeah, I do. And you never know when it's going to hit, but I tell you, it works famously for me. You can write a blog, you can write a book or be part of a book. I love the idea of let's all do it. Let's all write our 3 pages. And but basically the theme and the overriding theme is I like to help others. And so, like, all of these slides, they're yours. You guys want a particular, I'm going to, anybody who wants the slides from me, here, have them. I like to help people in their situation. And then if you have the karma of doing good, it will come back to you tenfold. So that's my philosophy. Okay, technology and measurement. I got this idea from Mike, Lee, and Heather. We were in the teams, and let's start with the leverage technology. How many of you raise your hand if you have MS365 or if you have Microsoft products? Anybody? Do people have that? The first thing that I'm going to tell you is, and what I am seeing and why I got into this space, is most people don't even know what they have in their MS365 package. And I'd be happy to help you. I developed a tool where I can tell you, based on your plan, what are all the things that are available to you. So you can see here, I went out to I had one of the interns go out and went on the website and Microsoft website and put all of the plans in here, and then what is included and not included in each plan. Have at least a basic understanding of what is included. And if you have the business basic or the apps or the standard or premium or whatever, at least know what is in your plan. And I'm going to give you kind of an overview of, and I did this with the group before in the teams, is I'm just going to give you a quick overview of what if you have MS365, this is what you already bought. You have the Office products, which everybody knows, right? Word, Excel, PowerPoint, etc. You also have email and calendaring. And what you probably didn't know is you have, and I'm going to show you these bookings and find time, ways to set up meetings with external people. It's extremely powerful. You also have teamwork, collaboration, meetings, and voice. You have Teams and business voice that is at an extra cost, but you can have a phone program through voice over IP phone through Microsoft. They have Yammer and Kazala. Those are all instant messaging tools that you have file storage and content sharing. So you have OneDrive and SharePoint and Stream. Stream being online recording, which is really cool, and it actually transcribes your meeting. So like in this Zoom meeting, we're recording it right now. Stream will also transcribe it, and then you can also edit it down. Then the other thing you have is task management. You have tasks by planners, to-dos, forms, lists, customer voice, Mile IQ. Those are all lists and how to manage all of your tasks. Then you have, if you want to get a little more sophisticated, you have workflow and analytics tools. You have Power Automate, Power Apps, Power BI, and Dynamics 365, which is a CRM. But these are all about workflow, and when if you need approvals and you need work to go into somewhere, you can have it automatically go to another organization or another team or whatever. And Power BI is dashboards and being able to roll up data and present executive dashboards. And then the last piece, which most people don't know, is you have Delve, Cortana, and My Analytics. These are all social learning and personal assistant stuff. And then Microsoft just came out last month with what's called Microsoft Viva, and it is connections. So they have a culture and communications. So within your organization, think of Microsoft meets Facebook. Then you have Insights, that's productivity and wellness. It will, if you're a manager, it will tell you when was the last time you met with your staff and who's been overworked and who's got too less work. It's all artificial intelligence. Topics are all people and expertise. If you want to find out who is an expert in Excel or database management, you can, or you want to find out all of the documents in your organization that have people that are working on X, that's the topics. And then learning, and this one most people don't know, is LinkedIn Learning is owned by Microsoft, and they have developed an extremely powerful learning management system that is a just-in-time learning. And what they're trying to do is get it so that learning is done in small little modules, and you can assign like a YouTube video or a LinkedIn Learning to people, and then it manages. If you're a manager, you can see, did they actually take the course, did they watch this video or whatever, and then you can have people sharing and the like. These are all the things that you have available to you right now, and most people only use Word, PowerPoint, and Excel in their email. Okay, any questions on that? Otherwise, I'm going to show you a couple of tips that I pulled out just for you consultants. Any? Okay, let me go through a couple. How many of you enjoy setting up meetings with people from external clients? I'm going to quickly show you 3 things that you can do to set up, obviously depending on your plan, but to set up meetings to external people. Microsoft has what's called bookings, and here's my signature in all of my emails, and see that little schedule an appointment? You click on schedule an appointment, and what the client finds a time and books a time, and what they get is this, where you can book a 15 minutes, half an hour, 1 hour. You click on what you want, you pick the date you want, you put in your email, and then it automatically puts it on your calendar and their calendar. It looks at your calendar and it says, here are the available times and dates that you have open. This has saved me tens of hours. You know how it is when you're going back and forth with a client. I just send them and say, hey, find a time that works for you. Click, click, they're done. It's extremely powerful. Next one is Find Time. Anybody use Find Time? Find Time is exactly like Doodle Poll, but it's a Microsoft product, and you can start a email and let's say I want a meeting with Brant here, and I'm going to have a Teams meeting, and you can put an add-on called Find Time, and then again, what it will do is look at your calendar, and it will say what days and times you have available, and then you just click on your availability. And then what it does is it creates a poll, and it sends that poll to your potential customer. Or let's say you're trying to set up a meeting with 2 people from internal to your company and 5 people external. Everybody votes, and as soon as everybody has voted, it automatically sends an email out to everybody, or sends an invite out to everybody. And it is extremely powerful. Again, I have tens of hours. If you use Doodle Poll, it's the exact same thing. And the last one, which many people don't know about, is, you know how some people have Alexa and Siri, and well, Microsoft's version is Cortana. And that is their artificial intelligence. And you can say, hey, it was great speaking. You can write an email, and then you can say at Cortana scheduler, and it will put it in there. And then you just say, can you find a half an hour in the next week for the three of us to meet? And then you ask Cortana, then she sends an email to your participants saying, looks at your calendar, pulls out a couple of dates and times, and then she asks the participants, and then what she does is keeps bugging the participants to, hey, please respond to this. And as soon as they respond, she automatically schedules the meeting for you, and you don't have to do anything. And what's really cool is at the end of the month and end of the quarter, she'll tell you how much time she saved you. She says, I saved you 3 hours this week, and they show you the calculations. So those are 3 things that you have available to you. The other thing I'm going to do is let me just check my time here. Are you guys, when do I need to be done by, John? John, still there? Anybody?
I would say 1:45, 10:02, you know.
Perfect. Okay. I'm going to give you a couple more tips. These came out of our meeting on Wednesday. These are some consultant tools you need to use. Teams and SharePoint, OneDrive, and Task by Planner. And I'm going to tell you, if you're not using OneDrive, you should be. Because OneDrive it puts all of your files into the cloud. And so you can have access to all of your files via your phone or your iPad or your computer. And if your computer breaks, or let's say crashes, all you have to do is go buy another computer and just log into your Microsoft, and everything is the exact same thing. That is what OneDrive and Teams and SharePoint is meant to be. That's what the cloud is meant to be. But specifically OneDrive, if you're working in SharePoint, you can go to any of your folders that are in there, and you can sync them to your OneDrive. And then you can move stuff in between. In your Windows Explorer, you can move things from your personal drive to OneDrive to SharePoint to your clients. You can sync with your clients. It's extremely powerful to be able to move files in between each of these. And then with OneDrive, you can also share with external, just like in Google Drive, where you send somebody a folder and you're sharing a folder. You can do that with OneDrive, and you just go to a SharePoint library and see that little box with the little arrow. That is sharing. So you click on share, and then you select who you want to share with. So you can have people within your organization or people with existing access, or specific people. You can either allow them to edit or have it read only. And then you type in their email address, and then you can just send them that, and then you can work collaboratively with external people. This is how I do all my contracts and statement of works, and I'll send my client a link to it, and now we can work together on it. And they'll make their edits, you make your edits, and then all of a sudden you're final. There is no attaching a file or anything. Extremely helpful in document management. And then Tasks by Planner. Every project that I work on, I'll set up a planner, and I'll keep track of all of my tasks and activities for my clients and what do we have to work on. And then you can assign people and assign these tasks. And any that is assigned to you, Microsoft grabs all of the assignments from all of your clients and all of your tasks and all your flagged emails and puts them into one spot in To-Do. And that is, you just work off of your to-do. Every day I open it up, and it will tell me, here's the stuff that is past due and the like. So last piece, results, is I always track results on all of my projects. I do return on investment or business impact or savings or revenue. And I'll just show you a couple of examples. Oftentimes I'm streamlining a process and I'll say, here's what the process costs are, prior to or prior or after the process, and I'll do times and calculations. But then I'll also say, here's the cost, and then from that, I can calculate my return on investment. And so it doesn't matter what the project is. If I'm doing a training project or if I'm doing a process improvement, I always like to show the client at the end of this, you spent $50,000 on me, and I gave you back $250,000 in savings. And I'll tell you, having their eyeballs hit that, it is extremely powerful. And I do this, most of the projects right now, my average project is 364% ROI, which means if you spend $100 on me, you're going to get 364 back by the end of the year. That's kind of nice to know and be able to say to your clients before you start engagements with them, right? And as I said, I do it on every single project. What was it before? What was it after I came here? Okay, last piece is the business side, and I'm gonna open it up. And what advice do people have? I'm assuming all of you have your business set up. Business name, LLC. If you are not an S corp, if you have multiple entities, I highly recommend you do an S corp. So you have LLC. And let's say you have like a training business and a consult or a graphic design business, and this, make them two separate LLCs, then have an S corp on top of it, and the S corp just allows you much greater flexibility in tax advantages and how you pay yourself and paying your Medicaid and Medicare and the like. Talk to your tax accounting and get that set up. And having an S corp is really allows you a lot of freedom, let's say, in a tax and retirement. Make sure you have business accounts, checking, credit card, and overdrafts, preferably at a credit union. Set up your accounting. John and I were talking about this before you guys got on. I realized early in my career is don't spend a lot of time on stuff that you don't know much about. And like accounting, that's something very easy to outsource. Just go and do it. You'd rather spend your time on the things that you are good at and getting clients than balancing your QuickBook stuff. And they can set up all your taxes and your Social Security, Medicare, and income, and then your auto withdrawals and monthly and quarterly to the feds and state. If you have intellectual property or talk to a lawyer for trademarks and copyrights, and then also understand your business and your risks. If you are constantly in IT companies or people with big data or something, and you should probably get errors and omission insurance, and you should probably get identity theft and just understand what are the risks that you are presenting to your clients, and then make sure you're insured for it. Then the last piece is, I like to keep close tabs on your costs. I track my time. I used to have a massive spreadsheet that I can share with you guys, but I just figured out, I was putting in this data in a spreadsheet, and then that's how I would bill. I just figured out that I can now do a data export out of my Outlook, and I can bill from my Outlook. And so now all I have to do is just manage my calendar and put in what I worked on when, because most of my day is meetings, and I was just retyping data. And now I figured it out where I just do a data dump and I put it into a spreadsheet, and it automatically calculates by client how much I'm spending. I just figured that out. So know that cash flow is king. man, I got spanked my first year in my business, and I thought I was doing really well, and I was doing really well until at the end of the year when I owed a $32,000, that's the put aside for taxes. I had a $32,000 payment that I needed to the IRS. And man, I have never made that mistake again. But going back to cash flow, this one still bites me in the ass. You depend on your clients to pay you in a timely basis. And man, I'll tell you, sometimes that's, am I right? It doesn't all line up, and all of a sudden you got a mortgage due, and you're like, oh man. But I am trying to get ahead of the game and make my billing more frequently and often so that I don't run into those situations. Or I do with my clients, I ask, I've just recently started saying I want half up front, which that has helped out tremendously. So let me open it up. What advice or tips do you guys have?
So are
Anybody?
you talking about advice or tips for consultants or for clients?
Anything. What advice or tips would you going back to what you'd have in the book? What are some things that you've learned over the business or in your years of consultants that work, or that you learned here that you thought, ooh, I'm going to try that, or how do I, or what's the best way to? This is your forum to ask a bunch of consultants.
Walter, this is Lee, and I just want to underscore what you said today and what we've talked about in the MS Teams meetings that we've had, and that is really understand and leverage the basics of your technology, what the capabilities that it has. And as Heather pointed out, it does take some time initially, but it really is an investment of time versus spending time.
Yeah, and actually Heather and Lee and Mike, I'd like to I haven't been able to make all of them because I had a client book over the top of some of them, but I'd like to kind of put a couple of sessions together that are just that, Lee, is here's the minimum stuff you should have in place, and let me show you how to do it, and you'll do it right now. Like setting up your OneDrive, and like setting up your security and your multi-factor authentication, like setting up, whatever. There's some very simple things that you can do to protect your business and or apply some of the technology. So, yep, great. What else?
This is Stuart, and just two quick tips. One that I just learned when I was over in Poland. The first tip is the 10-20-30 rule for presentations. If you've got a 20-minute presentation, use no fewer than 10 slides and a font size no smaller than 30 point. So big fonts, few slides, manage effectively. Otherwise, it's PowerPoint by death. And a couple of your slides hit that criteria today, Walter. Not all of them, but when it gets kind of small and you're squeezing and looking at the slide, you're lost in that, and people are not listening to what you're saying. So that's just a presentation idea. And the other sales idea that I thought, and it resonated with me, I thought was really well positioned, is 20-20-20. And that is, you have probably 20 seconds to form a strong impression with whoever you're meeting for the first time. The first 20 words that you use, it doesn't matter which words you use, but it matters how you deliver those words. So are you delivering it with confidence? Do you have the authority? Do you sound like you know what you're talking about? So 20 seconds, 20 words, and 20 centimeters. Okay, we're translating to European here, but this is how much space you have. And in a virtual meeting, the 20 centimeters is probably the length of your face. How are you aligning with the words that you're using? Are you conveying the body language or the facial expression that aligns with the words that you have in that 20 seconds? So 20-20-20.
Wow.
A great sales technique, and that was powerful. That resonated with me, so I picked that up. And that came from a French friend who is now living in Spain and is married to a Polish woman. And we were sitting at a meal, and we virtually connected with him. And it was a training program that he went through. So that I attribute to Laurent.
Nice. Who else? Anybody? Along those numbers, any client meeting, especially a first client meeting, and most of my client meetings, I try to get them talking within the first 90 seconds. So, I might introduce myself, give my elevator pitch, but then I'll ask them a very specific question, or normally I'll have a slide that name, role, and then what are the issues you're trying to solve? What problem are you trying to solve for your organization? What are the top 3 things that you think we need to accomplish, or give some kind of, get them talking? And I'll tell you, in an hour meeting, they'll talk the first 45 minutes easily.
Walter?
Yeah.
Walter, we have a question from Jen Wilson. She's just off video.
Oh, yeah.
She said that she seconds asking for 50% up front. Absolutely. Any tips on how to translate strategic planning or coaching into the ROI metrics?
Excellent question. So with strategic planning, I set up the strategic plan, but then I also set up the tracking and reporting after it. So let's say you have 75 action items out of the strategic plan. Then you, on a monthly or quarterly basis, you report on the progress, and you can then say you have a 76% completion rate. But then I'll also help the organization figure out, so those are what I'll call level 1 metrics. Level 2 metrics are actual metrics that, how do you know your outcomes of the strategic plan? So for instance, if one item in our strategic plan is we want to do more strategic partnerships, you'll set a goal and a target, and then you'll say, okay, it's not just about doing strategic partnerships, it's how many jobs did we get and what was the revenue from those strategic partners, right? That's the outcome measure. And you put those into place. So you do the level 1, yes, how many action items were completed, but then you also do the next level 2, which is the metrics around the overall result of the strategic items. And then, so the same goes through if you're coaching, right? You're setting goals, okay, how many goals did they achieve and how many task and action items did they have? But then what are their outcome measures? Did they become a better listener? Are they more, whatever you are trying to coach them and mentor them.
That was very helpful, because I'm working on a client project right now, and the client wants me to develop an ROI for me to coach him, but I'm not going to see any tangible results in terms of a metric until much further down the road. So my idea is to quantify the ROI in terms of activity. Is that proper?
Yes, I would have activity of, yes, let's say we created 27 action items, right? Here's the 27 things that you're going to do to build up your marketing of your business or whatever. Right. Okay, great. But that really doesn't matter. Yes, you do want to keep track of whether they actually did the task or not. But what really matters is, and having that conversation with your client of, well, what are you actually trying to achieve? Increase in sales, increase in hits, increase in likes, how many followers I have, and then, yes, you can have all the followers, you can have all the likes, you can have but then how does it translate into actual business for you? And what was my increase in business and revenue? That's the actual metric for a lot of that. And you can do it from right now, what was your before, and now what was your after.
Right. Thank you.
What other advice do people have or tips?
I I have a lot of background in retail, but it applies the other way from online retail, which is really knowing the dynamics of your business. That if you know how many customers you get every year and how many return every year, you can start mapping out, if you adjust a certain metric or make an impact, what does that do to the business next year, 3 years, 5 years down the road? And it's amazing how many people really have no idea how many new customers or new clients they bring in every year, or how many come back, or where people even came from.
Right.
And that's important if you're going to do it, and that's especially important marketing wise. If you're going to want to market your business, you have to start getting effectively, you have to get an understanding of where they come from.
Yeah, and correct me. And Mike, we had talked about this, and you do a great job of that, of saying, because that shows your return on investment. Yes, you're going to spend some money on marketing, but now, when I came in, you were here. Now you're here, and these were all the people that we brought in either directly or indirectly. And then the next level up is here's the revenue and profit that was generated from that. Excellent. Any others? All right, I'm done. What do you got, John?
I just am profoundly grateful for your sharing with us the behind the scenes of a successful consultancy. And I think everybody, myself included, can look at this and say, how do I measure up? What am I doing? And what should I be doing? And so the lessons today have been profound, and I'm very grateful. Thanks for walking us through this and sharing all your knowledge.
I'm looking forward to next month when you guys talk sales.
Yeah, it's awesome. So I just want to thank everybody for being here today, and for the guests that were here. Some of them had to leave early, but I think everybody got an ROI out of this meeting today. So I don't have anything else to share. Does anybody else have any closing comments? Not specifically. Well, knowing that, we'll just sign off and say, I look forward to seeing you all very soon. And thanks again for being with us today.
And go write your 3 pages.
Yeah, the book project's coming up. We'll follow up on that and a bunch of other things in the very near future. So a lot of exciting things ahead.
Thank you, Walter. Well done. Where can we find the slides?
John, how do you want to do that?
You can just send them over to me, and then I'll send them out to everybody.
Awesome.
Okay, it'll be in a PDF form. So, yep.
And John, you've recorded this. Where is this going?
Well, right now it's going to go onto my computer, and I have to go to another meeting at 10:30. And depending upon how the download goes, it's a challenge for me. But I'm going to just say that if I come back to my office later and everything's intact, I'll be able to possibly share it with you.
Awesome. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thanks so
Yeah,
much.
Let's
Thanks,
do it.
Walter.
Everybody.
Appreciate
See you
it.
later.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.